Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. I'm Mike Hodum, and I'm joined by Patrick Heinrich. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, Mike. Hey, everybody. Who's happy today?
Happy Festivus!
Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us. That's right. And you know what, Patrick?
What, Mike?
We're walking in an old wonderland.
Yeah. Riding high.
Riding high. That's right. Today, we took down Everton 2-0 in the Carabao Cup. It took 88, 89 minutes for the first of two. But, Patrick, what'd you make of today's performance?
Who's but Patrick? No, just kidding. So I thought that I'll be brutally honest. I thought both teams played like garbage, and I thought that we were slightly less garbage, and that's how we pulled it out. It was really funny. I was watching the game with my wife, and she's like, "This is going to end in a 0-0 draw," and I was like, "No, it won't." In like the 80th minute, we're going to score a goal. Like, it'll be late in the 80th minute. Somebody will put it in the back of the net, and sure enough, Cavani comes through. But it's just the beginning was like, it was exciting to see United on the attack all the time, and Everton did a really good job defending. And then, like, between the 30th minute until the 80th minute, it was just kind of like just watching a bunch of high schoolers kick the ball back and forth.
It really was like that. I mean, we started off so well, and we should have been 2-3 goals to the good, and we weren't. It was 0-0. And
Yep.
then for most of the conclusion of that match, it was just really poor. And I'm going to get this out there right away. If I was a neutral watching this game, I'd be very upset with Everton because they couldn't. It looked like they couldn't string three passes together. And this is a team that's currently it's Christmas. They're currently sitting fourth, just behind us in goal difference. And they couldn't string three passes together. And I've watched this team play probably half dozen times this year. And a couple of those games, they weren't great. But 3-4 of those games, they were really good. Great, whatever. But they looked a heck of a lot better than what I saw today. And Ancelotti named probably his best starting 11 that he could name given fitness, injuries, and form. So it was really disappointing if I was a neutral, not a United fan. I didn't mind. But if I was a neutral, I'd be really upset with what I saw from Everton today.
Yeah, and it's not like our other like the United players weren't playing for Everton on pretty much almost every occasion where we would just pass them the ball. It's not like we were keeping the ball away from them really well. They couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together after we passed it right to them.
Yeah. It wasn't the best game of football to watch. I think we agree on that.
Quite.
But Patrick, got a little new segment for this show. Patty's adding insult to injury. Yeah. Take us through this, Patrick. What'd you see?
Yeah, well, it was certainly an interesting time to be talking injuries. So we had Tuanzebe and Bai back on the field. So, and I thought, I don't know that I could insult them too much, but I thought they were okay.
Yeah, they were okay.
They were okay. Now, would I rely on them? No. Do I think they need quite a bit more time on the practice pitch? Quite. And also on injuries, I guess Luke Shaw, who may or may not have been on the roster for today, it was kind of up in the air, but I guess he made it on and he made an appearance. And he was played to a higher level of garbage than the other person on the field. So it's kind of, when we're talking injuries, I mean, we have the ever-present Phil Jones, who I spend so much time railing on that I'm going to cut him a break for now. He's been undergoing a couple more surgeries, but maybe he'll be back in January of 2022. That's what I hear.
Oh yeah, okay.
So, but I mean, we also got Jesse Lingard was on the bench, so that was always been wondering about him for a little while.
Forgot about him.
Forgot about him too. Does he even play for United anymore? In Ole's
so.
press conference ahead of this game, he practically said that Jesse would make an appearance, and he just warmed the bench the whole time. So I don't know.
Did the broadcasters get a glimpse of him on the bench?
I didn't see him at all.
They didn't make an appearance.
I don't think. Yeah, he didn't even.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, he was there in name only. I'm starting to think he doesn't exist. Just like I'm starting to think that Marcus Rojo was murdered. So, that's where we're at with the current state of affairs. And the only person that I hope is doing well, Scott McTominay, please hurry up, get better, fix that groin injury. Work that one out a little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see him back in the I was going to say the 18, but I guess it's 20 now for the league on Boxing Day. I don't think Pogba did enough to take his spot today.
No, not at all. I mean, I put him out there with a taped up groin, and he played better than Pogba, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is usually one I say for Jeremy, but yeah, I wasn't too impressed with Pogba today. In fact, he downright upset me in the first half when Bruno played a pass to him and back pass to him, and it wasn't a good pass. It was off target, but and it went to, I don't know, I forget who it was, Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin, and whatever. It started a counterattack, which led to nothing because they couldn't string any passes together. But instead of trying to run back and defend that, Pogba immediately, as the ball rolls past him, before Everton even pick it up, he turns around to yell at Bruno. And I don't know if this was just he doesn't like Bruno because Bruno came in and is far superior of a player than he is. And keep in mind, this might have been one of Bruno's worst performances, in my opinion, in United shirt. But he turns around and starts yelling at Bruno. It's like, dude, just get back and cover.
Yeah.
And then see out the danger, then yell at Bruno, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's plenty of time to yell at Bruno. Let's see out the next 10 seconds and then go yell at Bruno. Come on. Give me a break. And at that point, Patrick, I texted you and I'm like, I've had enough of Pogba. I want him off at halftime for Rashford. What did you send me in response?
Yeah. So between the 30th and between the 25th and the 35th minute, I think I saw Cavani give the ball away at least 4 times. So I texted you. Yeah, 4. I texted you and I said I would take Cavani off for Rashford and then I would put on Fred for Pogba. To which you said, maybe we could switch things around and move Van de Beek into into Pogba's position, which I also was in agreement to. But that's fine. I know where you're going with this, and I stand corrected. He was the one, Cavani was the one to put it in the back of the net in the last 2 minutes. So there you go.
You're right. I mean, Edison didn't have a good first half. He didn't really have a great game until he scored the goal. But you know what? I'm going to applaud Ole for leaving him out there because I feel like this is the type of game where he would have taken Cavani off, a player like Cavani or, like backup striker, whatever, off and placed Martial and put up there. But no, he left him out there. He took off Greenwood and Donny. I don't necessarily agree with that. I would have taken off Pogba. Like I said, I still stand by that. Yeah. Pogba made it to 90 minutes, whatever. I don't think he did anything. I'm pretty much got my wits in with him. But he took Donnie off. He took Greenwood off, and he put on Rashford and Martial, and he on either flank of Cavani.
Yep.
And it turned out to be the winning move. And that's why he made the sub between the 65th and 70th minute. And that's why you make your subs, sooner rather than later, because you give them time.
Yep.
Rashford, his first few touches were absolutely awful.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yep.
And you had Martial, I think he was played in by Bruno. And it goes to plant his right foot to hit a left-footed shot.
Yep.
And it takes the ball out, and the ball it was embarrassing, really.
Yeah, that was a funny stumble, I have to admit.
Well, I wasn't laughing at the time, but I watched the highlights after the game, and yeah, I could laugh then.
Yeah, they added Benny Hill music to the background.
Yeah, circus music. But you make these subs early enough so that these players can get into the game. And it worked out. Martial, who ended up being, I thought, my man of the match. He played the ball to Cavani. Cavani had a lot to do. It wasn't like he played him in through on goal. He had to cut inside a defender and curl the ball around another defender. That was great. And then Rashford played him in last minute of stoppage time, and he slotted expertly. So we didn't see that against Leeds on Sunday. That was the one thing that was missing from Martial's performance. So it was good to see that today. So I gave him the man of the match.
Yeah, well, again, it's another good example of Martial playing wide on the right side and us coming away with a win. So I know we talked about that in the past about him, is he more natural, on the right side than, as a number 9 in the middle. And it's another example of how he could be, better used out there.
Yep. Good point. Yeah. I mean,
I thought his goal was more about Everton kind of giving up than anything, but he did put it expertly into the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not giving up, but they were throwing bodies forward at that point because they had nothing to lose because it was a cup match. There's nothing to worry about in terms of, goal difference or anything like that. So it was all about them getting the equalizer. If they gave up a second, then so be it. So
yep.
I mean, they left the back door open, and that's what happens in these types of games. So, but Martial took advantage of it. I mean, there's a couple chances earlier with I think Bruno hit the post, right?
Yep, Bruno hit a post.
So yeah, I mean, he was finally got played in and got the job done, right?
Yep.
So got to give him some credit for finally finishing, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm glad to have seen him finish.
It's been too long since we've seen him finish.
That's true.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about Cavani because it was announced, I think it's been about a week and a half. He was charged by the Football Association for his social media post where he used a word in Spanish, which if you use the literal translation into English, does not look good, to say the least. But do a minute of research on Google, you figure out that doesn't really mean what the literal translation might suggest.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick, when I was watching that first half, and back to your point about taking him off I was watching him play, and there's a couple times he was offsides, well offsides.
Yeah.
And he turned around to the the linesman, and he was very angry. Now, I think Jeremy is probably the most the biggest expert on Edinson Cavani. He's watched him play the most out of the three of us on this channel. But I've seen him a lot in the Champions League for PSG and now for United. I never really seen him get worked up. He's not, I wouldn't say he's stoic, but he's usually pretty relaxed for the
Easy
most
going.
part, easygoing. I don't know. Yeah, but I saw this, and then he got upset with the referee, and then there was the incident in the second half where he grabbed Yuri Mina by the jersey, and one of the hands was up by the collar. He threw him to the ground. It could have been a yellow card.
Hmm.
And I need to stop I need to stop reading the Daily Mail. I go to the Daily Mail after the match, and there was 2 or 3 articles about how rival fans are saying, "Oh, Cavani should have been sent off for this," and then like I guess Gary Lineker, who is a man I have a great deal of respect for, not just really for his playing career, but he went into television. He went into presenting on television and does a really good job there. But he said that if VAR was involved, that would have been a red card. And I'm looking at him like maybe a yellow card,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like Granit Xhaka for Arsenal against Burnley a couple of weeks ago. And I apologize for that noise in the background, where Granit Xhaka grabbed the Burnley player by the throat with both hands. It wasn't like that.
No.
So I feel like I have a great deal of sympathy right now for Edinson Cavani because I you and I are both the same age as him, 33. And
Scary.
yeah, I feel like he's the subject of, I don't want to say, but for lack of a better term, a witch hunt.
Mhm.
I just feel like everyone's out to get him. He's from Uruguay. He played in Italy. He played in France. This is his first season or year, first few months in a English speaking society, and you're gonna accuse him of a social media post where you're taking what he said literal, or I don't know. Patrick,
Yeah.
you studied abroad in Spain for a term. Maybe you have more sense of this than I do. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's always important, if anything. The thing that always gets lost is, placement of language within the culture, not necessarily just as a literal translation. So, the first thing you learn about when studying Spanish, not only are you learning, the language itself, but you have to learn how they, talk about things in a cultural context. And there are certain, Spanish words that have a negative connotation that are perfectly fine words to say, but within a cultural context, they just use totally different words in certain areas of Spain for some of the same things because of some of the, cultural context of those words. So I think, you can translate something directly, but it's important. Any good translator will know or should know that when you translate something, you have to translate it within the culture that you're translating it from or translating it to. So I think that component gets lost. And I just hope that, it's interesting. I hope that Cavani and Maguire can have like a good laugh about this in the background. And Maguire can kind of, talk to him a little bit about, having just gone under very similar, media scrutiny for what happened in Greece when he was on holiday. So, I think it's what happens when you're such a high profile player. But I agree. I think he definitely lost his cool. I think maybe the word you were looking for was like professional. Like I think he's very professional in how he acts with other players on the pitch.
Mhm.
That's just my take.
Yeah, that's actually, you brought up Harry Maguire and his what happened to him in Greece, and that's probably a really good, maybe good's not the word, but a really accurate um, matchup of, you had Harry that had that happen in August, and you have Edinson now, and Harry's the captain of our club. I I really hope that Harry. I know Harry's a few years, 5, 6, 7 years, 6 years younger than I can't
Something like
remember,
that.
6 years younger than Edinson. but
Yeah.
maybe talk to him. He had that experience a few months back. Talk to him about that. And that really, that was a great point, because that spurred from Harry's. It was a different culture, what happened there and stuff like that. So, and Harry's English, so that helps as well. So hopefully Harry is talking with Edson. They're getting, he can help, guide him through this. And I hope Edson's not feeling too bad, because I don't feel like anything he did was wrong. I feel like, if anything, this was spurred on by rival fans, honestly.
Yeah.
They saw his post and went after him, because it happened after the Southampton game a few weeks back, where he came on, was absolutely deadly, excellent. I gave him a 10 in my results. I think he's the only player who's gotten a 10 in my my player rating so far, and he came on at halftime. He was absolutely excellent in that game. He was responding to a friend, and I hope Harry's talking to him. I think a lot of this like I said, has come from rival fans, and it's spurred on from the media. And you have someone like Troy Deeney, who's a Watford striker, now playing in the Championship, who is probably jealous of a player he used to play with as a strike partner, Odion Igalo, who ends up as a quote-unquote panic buy on the last day of the transfer window back in January of this year. Ends up coming to United. He's probably jealous that he goes to United, and and Troy Deeney doesn't go to United, And now he has this talk show on what's it called? Talk Sport Radio in UK. And he goes on there the next day after this post happens, and he talks about how greatly offended he is as a black person in the UK. And he does absolutely no research as to the context of what Edinson said, or what the word means in Latin America, because it's not just Uruguay. It's as far as what I found out, it was like all of South America. And I did further research, because people were saying it was the same thing that Luis Suarez said to Patrice Evra back in 2012, I believe.
Yeah.
When Liverpool played United, and then Luis Suarez got investigated and got banned for 8 games. It actually is not at all. Read the report, and actually in the report they brought up the word that Cavani used, and they tried to use that as a potential out for Luis Suarez if he used that word as like a misunderstanding, that maybe Evra did not understand what the word meant. He just took literal meaning because they were speaking in Spanish, but he did not use that word. He was very, very discriminatory towards Evra. It's not even a comparison. There's no one out that you can't compare it. It was disgusting, actually, to read that report. To compare the two is just wrong. And I really do feel bad for Cavani. So I mean, what's going to end up happening is eventually they're going to have to accept the charge by, the first week of January. And he's going to end up getting a suspension. So hopefully the suspension is, I think the best case is probably 3 games. So hopefully it's just that. And he can get back on the pitch and put this behind him. And hopefully Ole is guiding him through this along with Harry.
Yeah. Well, also another, if anything, Harry could also give him some advice on how not to let this impact his gameplay, because I think that's something that Maguire struggled with a lot. So hopefully that we don't see that same impact with Cavani as well.
That's a good point, because the first couple games after that the first couple games of the season, he did look like he was having issues with that. And I don't know if that's players of the other team giving him grief, or maybe he threw Yuri Mina to the ground because he got grief from him. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
speculating. I'm not saying that happened or anything like
Yeah.
that, but we don't know these things. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, so hopefully Harry can, like you said, can kind of guide him through how to handle these things and keep his composure on the pitch. And I think most of us as United supporters back Cavani.
Mhm.
We understand what he said doesn't make him a racist or anything like prejudice or anything like that. So yeah, I totally. I hope he gets it. We can keep giving him just support as a person, and that he starts to feel better. And uh, today, I mean, I wasn't worried about him getting sent off. I mean, he could have gotten sent off. I mean, could have happened.
Yeah.
I don't think he should have, but I mean, he seemed like a very fiery individual today.
Yeah.
And I'm not really worried about that, but I just kind of get concerned about him as a person. I don't want him to necessarily, whether his time in England ends at the end of the year. I think he's got a 2-year contract, maybe no, 2-year contract with an option for the third year, club option for the third year. I can't remember, but whenever his time ends, I just want him to have good memories for his time with United.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, I want to finish today's video. So we've been doing podcasts for the last couple of weeks regularly, but we haven't been doing YouTube videos in addition to those podcasts. I got diagnosed with COVID the what is it, 3 weekends? I don't know. First weekend of December, I think it was, or just after the first weekend of December.
Yeah.
And I was fine. I was fortunate. The main symptom I had was that I lost my taste and smell, which is what led me to get tested and to stay home, stay away from anybody. And I tested positive. So we didn't do videos past few weeks. But it's our first video back. We are American, if you can't tell from our accents. Sorry if that offends you. But we are also from Ohio. And the Columbus Crew, Patrick. We'll talk about the MLS for our last few minutes here. The Columbus Crew beat the Seattle Sounders weekend before last to win the MLS.
Soundly beat.
Soundly, I like that. Soundly beat them. They were heavy underdogs because they had a number of players out due to COVID. They've struggled with managing that within the organization through the playoffs, and they kept getting results, kept winning, kept advancing, and they won it all. And none of the pundits expected them to. They won 3-0. It wasn't really close.
Yep.
2 years ago, the Columbus Crew, the ownership group, wanted to move the team to Austin, Texas. Group came in, or I don't say a man. I think it was more of a group, but spearheaded by the owner of the Cleveland Browns of the National American Football League. Came in, bought the team, kiboshed that. They stayed in Columbus. They brought in Caleb Porter, who is a great young manager. He led the Portland Timbers to an MLS championship, I believe 5 years back. They actually went to Columbus and beat Columbus in that championship. Got sacked a couple years later inexplicably. Ends up in Columbus. I think he's more of a Midwestern guy anyway. He played college soccer at the University of Indiana University, and then managed at the University of Akron in Ohio as well. But great young manager, came in, was able to see through all these troubles and lead Columbus to the title. His second MLS title in the clubs second as well. First came in 2008, and they beat the New York Red Bulls in the final. But I got to see the Eastern Conference final thanks to a friend of both of ours, Brett Compton, diehard Columbus Crew fan. Had tickets to the Eastern Conference final against the Columbus Fire, or the Chicago Fire, excuse me. I believe Brian McBride, who used to play many years for Fulham, U.S. international, scored the goal to put the Fire ahead in the first half, and the Crew came back with 2 goals in the second half to advance to the final, which they won. Great game to watch, to be there, to be a part of. Great atmosphere. And Brett actually texted me today early in the Everton match. Actually watched our United play here in America. So I want to thank Brett for watching us play, and I want to congratulate the Columbus Crew for winning their second club title for the MLS club title. Yes, thank you. Nice applause. And I'm sure Brett was very happy about that, and I appreciate him watching, and I hope he can watch us play Manchester City in the semifinal, which Patrick.
It sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar, doesn't it?
It does. Let's hope we're singing a different tune.
We played 3 semifinals last year, and the first, was 2 legs. This year will just be 1. But was the Carabao Cup against Manchester City.
Yeah.
Early expectations, prediction. What do you think? What do you make of it?
I'm very optimistic that United will pull it out 2-1.
That's fair. I'm actually optimistic as well. That's why I came on the air singing "We're Walking in an Ole Wonderland," right?
Yeah.
Having said that, we'll probably lose 3-0, but
and then we'll be saying something else.
Yeah. Well, it depends on our league form.
That's
always.
True.
That's how it always goes.
Yep.
But I feel good. One thing I want to see: the 3 semifinals we played last year, Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Europa League, right?
Right.
Each of those competitions up until the semifinal, Sergio Romero played, right?
Yep.
Who played in each of those 3 semifinals, including both legs of the league, the Carabao Cup?
Certainly not Sergio Romero. He got the boot for
That's
De Gea.
right. And what was the result?
Terrible. All losses.
Did not go well for us, did it?
No. It seems like there's a pattern that we should be avoiding, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I know the person. Well, one of the people I'm alluding to made a bad blunder at Sheffield United last week, but Dean Henderson played each of the 3 Carabao Cup matches.
Mm-hmm.
Keep him in goal. Let him stay there. If we lose 5-0, we lose 5-0. Don't change the goalkeeper. Let De Gea play on Boxing Day. Let him play on the 29th. Let him play on New Year's Day. Then let Henderson play on the 5th or 6th or whatever day that week this match will happen.
Yep.
Just, you don't need to make any decisions, Ole. Just stick with who played in that competition.
Yeah. It sets such an awful precedence for being a keeper on the team. If you get pulled, you do all that hard work, and then you get pulled right at the pivotal moment where you can make a difference for someone else. And that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading about, reading about Arsenal's poor form. I've been seeing it with my own 2 eyes. But then I go on social media, and I see about people talking about Mesut Ozil and how Arteta's basically, they're still paying him, £300,000 a week.
Yeah.
He's not even on their Premier League squad. He's not on their Europa League squad.
Yep.
And then I see Sergio Romero, who I don't know what he did to upset Ole or whatever, but he out in the cold too. Okay, I don't agree with that at all. But you've banished him for Dean Henderson, basically,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So at least just let him play the Carabao Cup semifinal.
Yep.
That's all I have to say. I'm not going to predict the final score like Patrick did, even though I think I agree with you, Patrick. I like 2-1.
Good.
I didn't predict it. Patrick predicted it.
Yes. Blame me.
No,
Or praise me.
we'll have a couple video. We'll have another video recording or two to talk about this. But right now, the curtain is finally closing on the I want to thank Patrick for joining me.
I want to thank Mike for letting me be here.
Through my talking, yes, I know. But yeah, no, thanks, Patrick. Let us know what your thoughts are on Twitter at Theater of Football. But that's it for now. Hopefully, we go to Leicester on Boxing Day. Hopefully, that'll be a good occasion too. We were able to rest 9 players today, so hopefully they're ready for that big occasion when we're third in the league, taking them on as second. So, yes,
climb the ladder.
Go United. Enjoy the Boxing Day fixtures. Everyone have a Merry Christmas if that's your thing. If not, have a great weekend. So take care, everyone.
Cheers, all.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.